see the phone? We see movement data off of 100 million devices. So we see when you're visiting a dealership, we see when you're at an airport, we see when you're at home. And if we see enough of your behavior, we can figure out where this phone lives, what the address is. And when I can do that, I can bring in third-party data, whether it's TV viewership, Polk auto ownership information, or partners like, Rentrack or DLX. I can pin back to the household. So now I have the data we always use, know, and love, and now I'm meshing that with out-of-home as well. And then finally, we can connect that with your own first-party data through partners like LiveRamp or Axiom, bringing that in. And this is why we see mobile as more than just a medium. It's kind of become a hub, one we can use to understand the data in your life so that we can target in mobile, target in desktop, target in traditional, but measure, analyze, and understand.
As we face some new competitors, we have Tesla as a startup. There's talk of an Apple car, Google perhaps looking at the market. Some competitors are going to come in from China. What really roots you to the market beyond this week's deal, beyond your lease deal this week? And it's brand identity. It's what does your brand stand for? As car companies race to fill every conceivable gap in the market and stick a product in every hole where maybe their competitor has one, I think it's going to become harder and harder to define those brands.
All of these factors have to do with how do you feel when you're in the car? How does it make you feel when you're sitting and driving that car? And technology is not a practical factor, it's an emotional one. This proves the point of practical factors being a cost of entry, emotional factors being the ones you make decisions on. On the left, what it says is no matter how important to you as an individual, a practical factor is it's highly correlated. The higher you rate a car or a brand, the higher consideration you have, whether that factor is important to you or not. They're all important. They all have to be there in order for you to consider that car. But the one on the right, which looks at the emotional side of things, is the more important an emotional factor is to you, the more it's correlated with your consideration, the higher you rate that vehicle. So it's the ones that you care about are the ones you're going to make a decision about. You have to have the ones on the left. The ones that you like on the right are the ones you're going to make your decision based on.
So as a proliferation of social content has come into the marketplace and as technology has offered that expansion, brands have really seen the opportunity to take a role in that conversation and in that storytelling. And that's really what we're going to talk about today is how can brands be storytellers?
We define it as kind of like this little journey that you're asking a consumer to go on with you. You're asking them to sort of overlook the fact that it's brought to you by a sponsor, right? And you're asking them to kind of come along for a little ride.
The biggest trends that we see in our industry right now are things moving away from a world of cookies to a world of identity, where you actually know who these consumers are, and you can build long-term loyalty with them.
But what we did was, through both casting and the food that we use, was able to target each of those audiences individually using both food and casts that looked like, felt like, smelt like, taste like the audience wanted to see.
We already had, in our first iteration, the world's biggest artist, and that has a lot of emotion to it, but we also wanted to have something more custom, something built from the ground up. So the challenge there was just finding the right partner who had the capability to tell some amazing stories. At the core of the Uncharted series is just really great stories. You watch it and you're just like, wow, these people have a lot of talent, and how can we let the world know about that? And how can Honda be a part of it to power their dreams?
Does Uber have interest in getting into the advertising game?
Well, if you think about the platform that we have some incredibly valuable real estate when it comes to advertising because people are looking at their Uber app 2-3 times a day. But that means that we need to be very, very careful about what we do with that platform. So given how seriously we take rider and driver privacy, I don't see us opening up data anytime soon.